Chris Farfoy.
Mr Chair, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to part two. Very narrow debate, as you've already mentioned, around the transitional provisions around the contact people for people who have gone overseas and have student loans. Mr Chair, the ears of parents around New Zealand who are watching this debate right now have pricked up, because they want to know what their sons and daughters are going to get them into when they are heading overseas. And they're also a little bit worried about what this provision and the provision in Part 1 around the repayment holiday may mean for them if their sons, daughters or loved ones are going overseas for more than just the 1 year. Mr Speaker, just for those parents at home, for the benefit of those parents at home, I'd just like to point out again what a contact person does constitute in terms of the Student Loan Scheme Amendment Bill. It means that if someone is going overseas, you have to tell the IRD who this contact person is. You are going to have to obviously identify this person, give the IRD their postal address, an email if they have one, a telephone number for this individual, and any other information that may be specified in the regulations. And Mr Chair, around the transition of this contact person regime within the bill, because at the moment we've got a quasi-regime where some people have taken on this duty with their sons or daughters or their loved one already, and they have an amount of responsibility, but under this bill now they're going to have a fair deal of responsibility, not responsibility for the amount of money that is owed, but if this person that is overseas were to go missing or not pay their student loan back in time, then this is the person that the IRD staffers on behalf of the Commissioner will call to ensure that something is done about the money that is owed. And we do note that there is a transition period, Mr Chair, which is dated up to the 31st of December 2012, I believe, to ensure, and we hope that the IRD, as Nanaia Mahuta has already pointed out, that the IRD will be able to contact as many people as possible to tell parents that there is going to be a little bit of added responsibility on them for their loved ones, for their sons and daughters who have gone overseas. So, as David Clark has mentioned already, this is something that we think is relatively pragmatic, to use that word again, and relatively common sense. But there will be maybe a degree of concern amongst parents in New Zealand at the moment whose sons and daughters may be reaching graduation, talking about heading overseas to Europe for their big OE, but their parents certainly know, and it may be shorter now, that's a good point, but there will be a degree of concern amongst parents who have loved ones who are nearing graduation, looking at going overseas, and they know that these students have student loans. Some of them may have hefty student loans. Those parents may know that they may not be coming back, and those parents may also be worried that they'll be receiving a phone call, an email, or a piece of mail through their letterboxes to say, hey, where's your son, where's your daughter, they haven't paid their student loan back on time, and you're going to be in the gun for it. So, Mr Speaker, we welcome the transitional provision within the bill. We think it's relatively pragmatic, but again, we do feel the pain and the concern of many parents out there in New Zealand who are worried about what this may mean in terms of their loved ones who now may be going overseas for a little less time than traditionally has been the case for OEs for Kiwis. Thank you.
The question,
Mr Chair.
Son, I'm sorely tempted.
Mr Chair.
Darian Fenton.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Thank you very much.